This is Matthew Cratter from Bitcoin University, and today I wanted to talk about BlackRock manipulating Bitcoin. Here's the general problem and the question that I get in various guises. Something like this: oh no, entity XYZ, and it may be BlackRock, it may be the futures market, it may be Tether, it may be the US government. One of these entities is manipulating the price of Bitcoin, and my answer always is something like this. So what? Is their price manipulation causing Bitcoin's price to trade above fair value? If so, they've just given you the ability to sell some of your Bitcoin at an above fair market value, which is really nothing to complain about. You obviously shouldn't sell your Bitcoin, but complaining that it's trading above where it should be trading is hardly a legitimate complaint. The other side of this: is their price manipulation causing Bitcoin's price to trade below fair value? If so, also why are you complaining? Because they're giving you the ability to stack cheap sats. This is another question that I get about BlackRock and Bitcoin. Has BlackRock been somehow suppressing Bitcoin's price so that they can load up on it before their Bitcoin ETF is approved by the SEC? I think this seems unlikely, especially because Sam Bankman-Fried and all the other crypto idiots already did this job for them. They helped to initiate this bear market and all the carnage. The whole point of BlackRock's ETF is not to use their own money for this, but to use customers' money to buy Bitcoin and then charge these customers fees, which entails zero risk for BlackRock and just a lot of cash flow instead. Now, as I've discussed in previous videos, I'm sure that Larry Fink and his friends already loaded up months ago in their personal accounts on Bitcoin. But in terms of BlackRock itself needing to accumulate Bitcoin, it's very unlikely at this point. And if they needed to, they've had about a year and a half that they could buy Bitcoin at even lower prices than it's trading at today. But the good news, again, is if BlackRock is actually suppressing Bitcoin's price, you get to buy cheap sats alongside of them. And nothing is stopping you. Bitcoin is still trading. And if you think it's being undervalued because of BlackRock's price suppression, you get to stack cheap sats. And BlackRock is not entering this game so that they can keep the price of Bitcoin low forever. They obviously want Bitcoin to pump, and in order to inflate their AUM and the fees that they charge, and it works this way: if Bitcoin's price pumps, their AUM, their assets under management, will expand, both because the price of Bitcoin is going up and because more people are buying their ETF because they heard that the price of Bitcoin was pumping. So at least at this point, BlackRock is clearly incentivized to want Bitcoin's price to pump and to do everything they can in terms of advertising and marketing to make this happen. BlackRock may someday get into the business of suppressing Bitcoin's price, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, because these are the kind of guys that would sell their grandmother into slavery for $1 billion, and all they care about is making money, and that's what the Bitcoin ETF is going to do for them. And it's not going to do anything for them if the price of Bitcoin stays stagnant or low. It's really only going to make them a lot of money if the price of Bitcoin goes up. If you're finding this video helpful so far, I just ask you to hit that subscribe button. That really helps the channel out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Also hit the like button and leave a comment, a suggestion for a possible future topic or question about today's video. Another question I get about BlackRock and Bitcoin is, what about BlackRock manipulating Bitcoin using a hard fork? In this YouTube comment, Slavic Cryptos asks, he says, please note that the BlackRock application for the ETF, in this application they mentioned forks of Bitcoin. They want to control it as much as possible. First, they want to control the miners to create a fork. This fork will be a menace. It's not going to be like Bcash or BSV or Dash. There'll be much more capital to support BlackRock's fork. And this is true. If you do look in the SEC filing, there's this language that commenter is obviously referring to, and it goes like this: in the event of a hard fork of the Bitcoin network, the sponsor, meaning BlackRock, will, if permitted by the terms of the trust agreement, use its discretion to determine which network should be considered the appropriate network for the trust purposes, and in doing so may adversely affect the value of the shares, of the ETF shares. In the event of a hard fork of the Bitcoin network, the sponsor will, as permitted by the terms of the trust agreement, use its sole discretion to determine in good faith which peer-to-peer network among the group of incompatible forks of the Bitcoin network is generally accepted as the Bitcoin network and should therefore be considered the appropriate network for the trust purposes. So in other words, if this had happened back in 2017, they would obviously choose BTC over BCH if they were smart, because this was the fork, the side of the fork that ended up winning. BTC has a market cap of something like 500 billion, and BCH has a market cap of just a few $1 billion. Now, it's important to note that this legal language applies to any future Bitcoin hard fork that may happen after the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF is approved, whether that fork is initiated by BlackRock or by anyone else. But for the sake of the argument, let's try to imagine what a BlackRock initiated hard fork would look like. And for the purposes of this video, I'm going to call it BlackRock Bitcoin, or B/BTC. Now, because BlackRock is a regulated institution, BBTC will almost certainly be a highly regulated, permissioned version of Bitcoin. It will also be much faster, cheaper, and more centralized than Bitcoin. And that's a pretty cool thing. The only problem is we already have something similar. It's called PayPal, it's called Venmo, it's called Zelle. So we don't really need another centralized and highly permissioned payment system. Maybe BlackRock displaces PayPal or Venmo or one of these other systems, but that's neither here nor there. And the real question is, why in the world would you want to run this on a blockchain when a centralized database like PayPal uses is so much faster and cheaper? If your coin, if your crypto is already centrally controlled, using a blockchain is really just performance art. And if you don't have a blockchain plus distributed proof of work, you're really wasting your time and you're probably scamming people, and you're just issuing a token so that you can cash in on it. Now, will a lot of people use BlackRock BTC? I would say yes, quite possibly, because they're such a large asset manager and they have such reach. The other question, though, is will my Bitcoin node run this BlackRock software? Absolutely not. Will dissidents, will refugees, will other people who don't want their money to be censored, frozen, or debased use BlackRock BTC? Of course we won't. So maybe BlackRock BTC is great for BlackRock and Larry Fink's bonus, but the thing is it's not even competing in the same arena with Bitcoin, and it's not competing for decentralized, fair, globally distributed money. So when you hear people talking about BlackRock and Bitcoin, I want you to remember this meme. BlackRock can't do anything to mortally wound Bitcoin. Neither can the US government, neither can any other actor. So what you should be doing at this point in the cycle is just stacking sats and chilling. Everything is going to be fine. BlackRock is going to pump the price next year, and then we'll see what happens. But either way, BlackRock can fork off and do whatever they want. They can create their own centralized shitcoin, but it's not going to affect people, and it's not going to affect demand for non-debasable, censorship-resistant, free money of the people, which is what Bitcoin is. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.